Oh, 1, 2. Mama, don't you point that thing at me. Finger pointing mama, help me get a job. I've been working all day. She's home sleeping like a log. You mixed up, you messed up. Gonna cut you down to size. Finger pointing mama, how come you don't act your way? Instead of staying out all night drinking, ain't been home in 3 days. You mixed up, you messed up. Finger pointing mama, that's all. Mama, don't you point that thing at me.
Well, I ain't pointing my finger at nobody.
The heck you aren't.
I just want a man that treats me right. A man with a decent job that can afford to buy me all the things that I deserve. A man with a high moral compass, unlike yourself.
Well, Mama, every time you point that finger at me, there's 3 pointing right back at you. Yeah, finger pointing Mama, always trying to start a riot. Screaming and hollering and telling me to be quiet. I ain't said a word to you, Mama, gonna cut you down to size. Finger pointing Mama, you keep a pointing that thing at me. I might lose my cool, I lay 6 feet deep. You mixed up, you messed up. Finger pointing Mama, that's all. Finger pointing Mama, Mama, don't you point that at me. Yeah, you keep on pointing them fingers. You'll be swimming in the deep blue sea. Gonna pack me a grave. Gonna take a long, long trip and get as far from that woman as I can possibly get. Finger pointing Mama, Mama, don't you point that thing at me.
Welcome to Big Blend Radio with Nancy and Lisa, the Big Blend mother-daughter travel team and publishers of Big Blend magazines. You just heard Finger Pointin' Mama. Don't get in front of her, man. It is on Dream Songs, etc., the first full-length album by Bill and the Bells, released by, okay, Nancy, Jalopies. Remember Jalopy? Jalopy Records? Now, everybody's got a different way of saying that, too. But it is out now today. Go get it. Go to their website, billandthebells.com, and we're super happy to have the lead singer and guitarist Kris Truelsen joining us today on the show. We want to call him Bill, but he's really Kris, so you never know what's going on in the world. So welcome, Bill. How are you? Oh, Kris. Oh, see, I can't keep it
I know
straight.
it's very confusing. I answer to both, so it's okay. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on the show. Appreciate it.
Well, you know, it's good to have you here, and so let's just start with the name Bill and the Bells, because let's clear that up, because I got to clear up my mess apparently.
Well, it's a common thing, so don't be too hard on yourself. We picked the name. The name really has kind of a historical significance to where we live, which is in East Tennessee. We're in the mountains in East Tennessee. In Johnson City, one of the Tri-Cities, which was really a hotbed of old-time music and hillbilly music back in the 20s. And, you know, we wanted to kind of pay tribute to some of the great musicians from our neck of the woods that a lot of folks might not know about. And there was one band in specific that was called Bill and Belle Reed, and they cut just one side, well, 2 sides actually, for Columbia in Johnson City back in 1928, and Bill and the Bells is kind of an homage to them. They cut a really cool ballad called The Farmer's Cursed Wife, kind of a slapstick sort of ballad about a lady going down to hell, and the devil couldn't deal with her, so he sent her back to the farmer, and that is our tribute to them. So, but nonetheless, of course, people call me Bill. I didn't really foresee that being an issue when we came up with the name, but I got no problem with it. I'm thinking about changing my name.
No, I love this. I love this because there's something about when you think about Appalachia, and I'm saying it right because I've heard that, you know, it's about the apple being thrown at you. It's like Appalachia, you know.
Oh, okay.
And I know that you've studied this and got a master's degree in Appalachian Studies. I didn't even know that was such a thing, that you could get a master's degree in that. How did that happen?
Yeah, there's quite a few universities in our neck of the woods that focus on Appalachian studies and Appalachian culture. I was the first student in my program actually at East Tennessee State University, and I used my studies as an excuse to dig deeper into country music history and regional music history, and I got a lot out of it, and it really led to my work in radio and all the different sort of programming that I do, for sure.
It's exciting. Have you seen the movie Songcatcher? Have you seen that?
Yeah, a long time ago. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because they talk about like how, I know Nancy's man, Aidan Quinn, was in there. But it was interesting because it was kind of like how music came into, like, I think it was more of the North Carolina side. But it's interesting, like what it was like, the people of the land living in, like, we're in the desert out here, and we have, like, we call them homesteading shacks. We have all kinds of names, but it's almost like little homesteads in the middle of forests. And I know there was moonshinery. I know Ralph Mason Gill Jr. comes on our show all the time. Mm-hmm. He talks about moonshine, but there was a connection between, I mean, if you think about the Appalachian Trail, I mean, people think about hiking it, but it's just as much history, right? There's, like, so much history, and it seems like the music flowed down through there.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of song catching is a pretty interesting thing. There were all sorts of folks who would come down from outsiders who would come down into the Central Appalachia to try to find ballads, try to find like just any kind of songs that they could. One in particular that I'm very fond of, who was actually from here, was A.P. Carter. He and Leslie Riddle, who was another fellow that he would travel with. They would go through the mountains and pick up songs, and the reason being they wanted to cut records and make a dollar off of them. And the Carter family, of course, was a really popular band in country music, and those guys were going everywhere they could, turning up every rock that they could to try to find new songs to record. So the Carter family just cut so many sides back in back in the mid to late 20s.
What's interesting too is, like, music was kind of a family thing, right? You think about the front porch. To me, as soon as I heard your music, I immediately I'm like, okay, I want to go back east, northeast, your area, southeast, your area. I mean, it goes all, there's that whole region, and I just want to be on a porch. I want to see those big fields, and then you have the trees, and I want to see the mist, because there's like a mystical mist in your land. It's almost it's almost tied to me with like, I know it's southeast. There's like I would say like a mystical mist that goes from Tennessee and all the way down to Louisiana and Mississippi, in this interesting, I don't know how to explain it, but the music is connected in some ways, and I think that there's this family bonding over it, where people back in the day, that's how we lived our lives on Saturdays, Sundays, or we'd have a dance. We would have, the whole family was involved in the music, not just
right. And one thing that's pretty amazing about where we live today is that still exists. That's not just a past. That's not just history. That is living history that's happening right now. There's a lot of kids who are learning from their parents, who go to the dances, go to the Carter Fold, which is right around the corner from us, and dance every weekend. There's people who are handing tunes down through families here, and that's one of the reasons that brought me down here. I'm not originally from Appalachia. I'm from kind of out by you, actually, out in Colorado, out west, and one of the reasons that brought me here was the fact that there's still such a rich culture, and you don't find that too much these days across the United States. So for me, it was incredibly refreshing. I feel very fortunate and lucky that I've been a part of the culture here for so long now, and it's a really welcoming place. And there's, music isn't just for the stage. It's like you said, the front porch. It's for having fun, and it's for enjoyment. And that's one of the beautiful things that why music exists, and people here really understand that.
Well, I think also what's interesting is going back to some of the simplicities. You listen to the harmonies. The harmonies are just incredible, and there's a simplicity to the music, and it's super catchy immediately. You're like, oh, here we are. I want to go out on the porch. Sorry. I listen to your music. I'm like, it feels like you could be outside. You could be putting clothes on the line. Yeah, remember that, everybody? You could be doing things and just, you could, it just feels so like part of life. I don't know how to explain that, but it just feels like it's part of our daily life music. It's like bread, like something that everybody has, and yet at the same time, I don't think we hear that kind of, like a young band doing this kind of thing, and I think that it stretches between everybody. Everybody's going to enjoy it.
I think. Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. You're a world traveler. I think you understand also, like, the people in other cultures in other countries. The music is right front and center to their culture, and I think that's one thing that Central Appalachia really has going for it, and I think that makes it feel very worldly in that sense, because we were just on tour in Mexico, and we went to Michoacan last November and played with traditional musicians there. Learned their tunes, they learned our tunes, and there was so much overlap. Of course, there was a language barrier, but it didn't matter. I find that every time we've gone outside of the country to different countries, music is a foundation of culture, and it's pretty amazing. One thing I think is interesting that Bill and the Bells really hopes to achieve is that, a lot of people could hear our music and think that it sounds old. We are heavily influenced by the past, but a lot of what we do is actually fairly contemporary. And we do write a lot of tunes, our own songs. Our harmonies and our instrumentation and the way that we arrange is really not traditional at all. It actually is kind of our own it's sort of our own brainchild of kind of coming up with this. One thing that really that really influenced us and we found pretty amazing is this idea of how pop music back in the 19-teens and the 20s and even before that, how it influenced musicians down here, how it influenced the folks who were cutting hillbilly records. Those guys were not just playing fiddle tunes in traditional tunes. They were playing songs of the current day and modern times, and that's something that we really have tried to infuse into our music. With that, there's various approaches that we do to try to make it feel contemporary. So that we want to kind of trick people a little bit into hearing the past, but also being like, well, hey, this is just as relevant now as it was then.
I think it's important because I think people are going to the roots. I know, Nancy, go ahead.
This is okay. I'm trying to say this so nobody gets offended. However, what comes to mind for me hearing this music is some cartoons where this kind of music was used a lot. It's different from yours, but the basis is the same because it's Americana. And I just remember certain cartoons with chickens in the hen house, and they're all moving to the music. It's like old school. Do you know what I'm talking about? No.
I would have imagined you're probably talking about sort of vaudevillian music, which definitely crept into.
It's cartoon,
right? But
and it's not derogatory at all. It is really deep American.
Where that it's the harmonies that you're. I think it's the harmonies, the vaudeville side that you're talking about. I think
because they would play this kind of music, and the hands would all move together. I'm talking about really old school cartoons that black and white. I'm not talking about today's kind of Beavis and Butthead stuff. I'm talking about
that's old now too, by the way.
Oh well,
just reminding you.
Just say it.
You're behind.
But the hens would all be knitting and laying eggs, and this kind of music,
they would sing.
Elements of this kind of music would be what they,
because they're telling a story.
Yeah.
And have the humor in it. And I think that's
it's interesting because I don't know, when I hear that I'm like, oh, I know this.
Yeah. You have that sense of place. That's it's sense of place music. To me, it's a sense of place geographically, but it takes you into different places. I wasn't around in the 20s, but it takes me to places of music that I've experienced, but learning. Just a musician friend of mine and I in the mountains in San Diego, she was all into this, and she the cartoons. She had the cartoons too.
See?
But she taught me music, and that's how I taught her old school blues. She taught me that, and we realized that it was all connected. It was all connected.
Yeah.
And it was storytelling and simplicity. And that's how we were able to do gigs, was being simple and not having a full band. And it was this relying on having our harmonies set, and knowing each other well enough, and just being very, very simple, but being how strong can we make that message come across where it's comforting for the audience, and also people. I think that's what's so amazing about your album. I love your album. I love the title of it, by the way, Dream Songs, because it makes you feel dreamy. It takes me to places of I'm just sitting outside watching the clouds, and I can feel good, and I think we need this, and I think people are going to roots music more and more and more, and this is definitely strong in the roots, but
the title,
everyone likes it.
The title definitely hints at the fact that, these are songs that I don't want to use the word escape, but the songs that you can sit back and you can enjoy. And, at this time, I think that's a really important, I feel like it's really important to take time to enjoy things, because it's hard to do that in this climate right now. And, so we really were conscious about trying to have a full record that is fairly simple on the front, from the outside standpoint, make it very listenable. And our lyrics are pretty simplistic and plaintive, and that's all purposeful, because we want them to feel a sense of timelessness when they hear this. I don't want them to hear 1920. I don't want them to hear 2010. I want our listeners to hear whatever they want to hear. I think I'm hoping that we were successful in our attempts at that.
I think so, because as soon as I heard it, I was just I just want to sit back. That's it. I want to sit back and listen. And to me, that's the key. You just, within the first few bars, I'm like, that's it. That's how I book music shows. I'm like, okay, do they capture it? How do you feel? Immediately, and then you hear it's like a velvety layer cake with your music. It's just so
nice. Thank you.
There's this just beautiful harmonies, and they layer, and then they go, okay, now we're not going to have this much layer. Now we're going to go here, and there's this dynamic. And I think to take simplicity and have the amount of dynamics you have and tell the stories.
Well, thank you. Yeah, one of the big things for the band, we've been a band for about 4 years. We formed here in East Tennessee. And I was playing, I've been into old-time string band music and early blues, all sorts of stuff for a long time. And Kalia, the fiddle player, her and I were in a straight-ahead honky-tonk band for quite some time. And we kind of wanted to stretch outside of that. We were feeling kind of limited. And we quickly there soon after met Grace, and we started singing trios and stacking our trios in a different way, in a very modern way, and with that, we sort of found these songs that really worked. There's a song from one of the most popular songs from the early 20th century is called Where the Shy Little Violets Grow. And we heard that, so I brought that song to the band, and that's one of the first songs that we worked up. And instantly, it really put us on a path of understanding the direction that we wanted to go, and feeling like we were actually generating something kind of new, with while being like heavily influenced by our past, which I'm pretty proud of.
So isn't this kind of like you start sort of with the familiar and twist it, and then twist it, and then twist it, so that the person coming in, because when you do something new, everybody freaks, and they're like, oh, no, not new, no, not change. So you start with something like, oh, I recognize that. And then as you get into it, you're like, okay, I'm comfy with that. And then it goes, oh, well, look at this. And then you're like, okay, all right.
Yeah, we structure our sets with that in mind for sure. And we'll play some songs that some folks may have heard before, or if not, the melody regardless or the song regardless. I feel like some songs are up in the ethos in American music. It has been, it doesn't disappear, it hangs out. Exactly. And I feel like songs that people may not have heard before still sometimes trigger a sense of familiarity. That's something that we really try to play with and try to get, and we find people really react to some songs that they may have not have heard before, but they feel like they have. And I feel like that's a really pretty amazing phenomenon.
I think it's super important because there's roots music, right? And how do we keep roots music alive other than add to the repertoire, but also there's always going to be some new spice added to it. It goes with what's going on in the world, the subject matter and the songwriters, what they want to write, and the musicians. It always, you look at blues, how blues went electric with Chicago, and, you think about how blues changed through the course of history. And it's the same thing with country music, where you're going down into the roots. I remember going in Louisiana, and sorry, listeners that have heard this story, we were going to Southwest Louisiana, Lake Charles, on a media trip, and to write about all the amazing things that they have there, like Boudin, and But I was like into the music, and we always turn on whatever we can get locally, radio-wise, where it's not like the typical Hotel California playlist. And
good for you.
It's local, and
so much fun.
We always go off the highway as we could, and we finally found let's do this detour. We actually went. We were heading from west to east, and we went further east to go backwards into the town so we could see some of the the roots. And we went through some crazy bayou country, and they're having fish fries and everything. And I'm like, dude, this is it. We're in a different country, man. This is it's America, but it's like a different country.
Yep.
Yeah.
You cross the state line and you know it. And we're driving around, and we're looking and we got onto the college radio. And they had just found all this old school swamp pop from over 100 years ago, swamp pop music. And we're driving through, and we're it was like this sense of place magic moment. And then we had to check into a Marriott. And I'm like, okay, where's the wine now?
Really.
I was like, I don't even know how to be in a Marriott hotel with your fancy lights and everything. They had the fancy bars and everything, and I'm like, I can't. I want to go back
into a cabin,
that's my
have
point.
A bloodhound, corncob pipe, sit on the porch and play a banjo.
But this was so real and so honest, and you were there. And when I listened to your album, I love I love the name because it allows you to, even if you haven't been into your region of the Appalachian, I know you've traveled all over, and some of you definitely band members, Alaska and everything, right? You get to this point of you want to go to that sense, even of what you've maybe seen photos of Appalachian country on Pinterest or whatever. You're going to have that visual. It's very visual, and when I listen, I just feel like you are representing a region and taking us to a place, that is now, hopefully, but you just have that. It's so important that music doesn't die. And we've done shows where over the years where they say blues is going to go away.
No.
And it didn't.
Are you kidding?
It doesn't go away. It's
no.
people like you who keep it.
Yeah, it can't go away because people got the blues.
And there's people who deeply care about traditions and preserving those traditions, and we need to celebrate those people that do that more in America. And I think that is that. I think you're definitely. I appreciate you saying that. One thing though about our band that I think is kind of interesting is that we're trying to sort of incorporate like mountain the sort of how do I say it, like bringing the city and the country together, because there was there's a huge influence in our music that's urban. There's a huge influence in our music that is country, that is the mountains of this region. And those two things come together, but they used to come together a lot. They don't anymore, and that's sort of an underrepresented tradition in early country music, or in country music these days. People don't talk about that sort of crossover that used to happen, and we find that really fascinating. Pulling those songs that were coming out of Tin Pan Alley that were on the vaudeville circuit were filtering their way down into the mountains, and those guys who were playing straight ahead fiddle tunes were also picking up those tunes to make a buck, or because they liked them and they wanted to please crowds. I mean, these were very versatile musicians, and you have to remember the A&R men and the record producers of the 20s, 30s, and 40s. They had very specific ideas of what they wanted to record. If they recorded a black guy, they wanted the blues. If they recorded a guy from here in the mountains, a hillbilly, quote unquote, they wanted a straight ahead fiddle tune, country tune. Now that is not accurate of the culture.
That's what we're still dealing with, that, right?
We're still dealing
with
that.
You see crossovers, and I remember, what was that? There was like a show on CMT, I think it was, or VH1, where they had the Crossroads. That's right, where they'd bring rock and roll and country music together. And it's interesting because a lot of country has changed as well. Country music now is like, sometimes you're like, is that rock and roll? Is that country? What happened to country? I don't know if you've seen that, but like I've looked at going, okay, where are we? And it's okay because
I wonder that every day.
Yeah, it changes up, and you're allowed to change things up and add your spice. And like when you think about cooking, it's like, here, I'm making a chicken roast, but you know what? I'm going to do gumbo style, but it's still a chicken roast. And that's what I think, that there's this thing where, yes, blend it. I love the word blend because it allows us to have that creativity, and I think that's what you guys are doing. But I want to, guys and girls, let me just say, tell me how you all met. I mean, you guys were all playing in different bands at one point, right?
Yeah. So, it's kind of a miracle that we all met here in Johnson City. As I said, we've been a band for about 4 years. All of us are from different regions of the United States. Kalia, our fiddler, Kalia Yeagle, she's from the furthest away from Anchorage, Alaska.
Amazing.
And she'd been playing old time music in Anchorage forever. I guess there's a really strong music community in Alaska. So she was she's from Alaska. Carl Zerfus is from Kansas. He's our bass player. Grace Van Hoff from Michigan, our banjo player, and I'm from kind of all over, but Colorado is I claim is where I grew up. And music brought all of us to the region, to East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, and we all came at different points. So we were all playing in other bands, but once we met, we formed the band very quickly and very, very rapidly developed our sound and started touring nationally, kind of right out of the gate.
I know you've just come back on tour too. I mean, you guys have been busy.
Yeah.
You have a whole bunch more going on.
Yeah, we're incredibly busy with the record. We're touring the record a whole lot, and we're doing our first European tour coming up in November. Doing 30 days in Germany and the Netherlands, And so we're busy. It's a good feeling. It's hard right now for us because we're, this is our first year doing 100+ shows. We also have side jobs as well. I run a radio station, which keeps me incredibly busy. Clea teaches students at ETSU in the program there, the old time program, and so we all have side jobs. So it's a big balancing act trying to make strategic touring work with our schedules.
I'm glad you say that, because I think it's so important that people understand that what musicians go through. It's especially if you're homegrown, you're doing your own thing, you have creative control, and it's like you're going to have to get money from somewhere else. And a lot of times people expect musicians to be 100% all that, but when you have creative control, a lot of the time means I'm going to do this so I can have creative control. And maybe sometimes you want to go for a bigger record deal. It really goes with what's happening for the artist at the time. And it's we're in a different place than we were 20 years ago in music. We're in such a different
the music
place.
industry is in a pickle, and musicians are really getting the short end of the stick. I travel and play so many different cities and see and know that there's a common narrative of it's very hard to make a living as a musician these days. It isn't valued in the industry often. Sometimes in the culture it's not valued, and we need to change that as a culture. That narrative definitely needs to change, because music is integral to us being a happy, healthy people.
I agree with that.
It's so ingrained in our culture, and as we have traveled in different countries, the first thing we look at is music and food, because those are the two things that are different.
Yeah, they are.
And you're talking about experimenting, visiting, and looking at different cultures, integrating it into your own, making something from it. And it's, if you think back, like for the arts, okay, so you had to be you have a king or queen be a patron of the arts and let you live in the palace for free, because you couldn't make money selling your art, be it music or paintings or whatever, and so creativity is something everybody wants, but there's a side of it that kind of takes it for granted.
It takes time.
And
no question.
It's a hard road. No, there's no two ways about it. It's a hard road, but it's.
But as you mentioned, the arts are so important. They build tourism. They bring in a lot of money for a lot of places.
Absolutely.
Yet the people who create those things often don't. They often end up on the short end. And it's unfortunate. Now, that's not always the case, but with the radio station, I'm housed in a museum that celebrates the history of this music. And,
I wanted to play a song, but I do want to hear about this.
Yeah.
Tell us about this, because this is super cool. Like, okay, so is this in your town where you do the radio show from?
It's in Bristol. Radio Bristol is a radio station housed in the Birthplace of Country Music Museum, which is a Smithsonian affiliate. It's a fantastic world-class museum that's been around for about 5 years. It's been in the works for a long, long time. And, it celebrates the diversity of what country music truly represents, and it kind of focuses specifically on the 1927 sessions, the location recording sessions that occurred in Bristol. A lot of pretty big acts had started their careers in Bristol. Folks like the Carter Family, Jimmy Rogers, Ernest Stoneman, Alfred Carnes, and others.
Yeah.
And I was one of the folks who helped to launch the radio station, which was a grassroots sort of. We did a grassroots crowdfunding campaign to get it off of the ground, and since then it's just grown tremendously. We're housed in the museum, so we're not only just a radio station, we're also a working exhibit. So when people come through the museum, they can see us behind the console working and on talking on the air, all of our different DJs. And you mentioned local radio, and that to me is such an important thing. My whole mission and focus with Radio Bristol has been making sure that it represents the community and that it's truly regional radio, celebrating regional music and underrepresented artists of our region.
I'm very excited about this because I think a lot of us always think Nashville is number one. Like you think country music, Nashville, or Memphis.
Yeah,
you start
that's
to
true.
think, but Memphis goes into Beale Street, a little different, but it's Nashville.
Well, there you go.
First.
You just mentioned Tennessee is an incredible state because of the fact you have these three really significant points: Memphis, Nashville, Bristol. And they're all, that's going from one corner of the state to the other. And each one has a really, really distinct sound and a distinct history, and is really important to American music history. So, Bristol and our region is incredibly significant for making places like Nashville possible. That's really the commercial industry of Hillbilly Records. One of the first really successful sessions was Bristol.
Wow. Okay, this is it. I want to come out you've taught us so much. I mean, you made me look up things well, that's the cool thing about being in radio, right? You learn, right? Don't you learn a bunch from being in radio?
I learn every day. I learn every day, and I make sure that our DJs are that they are along the same line with the mission, and they really know and have a deep understanding of our region. And we bring people in. We have live musicians every day on the station, and there's so much you can learn from everyone.
That's cool.
Well, Jimmy Rogers, a friend of mine, when I got to this country. I have to, don't get mad at me, but when I first got this country, I was like, no, because what I was seeing back as a teenager in Africa, South Africa, I saw country music, and I didn't see it in the way that I just didn't quite get it. Just being straight up honest. Got over here,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
In Florida, the Panhandle, I heard blues and I heard country, and a lot of it I actually enjoyed, a lot of the country, but and then I got over to California, and my friend, after parties, he would just say, you need to just sit down. I'm putting these headphones on you, and everybody's partying and carrying on. I'm in my early 20s. You're going to sit down, and you're going to listen to this. You're going to sit down and shut up and listen. Basically, it's hard. But I did, and he got me hooked. And Jimmy Rogers is one, and you just talked about him, and being in Bristol. And Jimmy Rogers, he got me hooked and learning the old school blues and everything. And Jimmy Rogers, some of his songs on your album. So you like him?
Yeah,
too.
we have two Jimmy Rogers songs on the record, Carolina Sunshine Girl and Tuck Away My Lonesome Blues. Jimmy Rogers is one of my absolute idols. I just think he was a genius, and he was really. To me, he encapsulates the idea of what country music should be, because he was pulling from so many various sources and people and cultures. He was incorporating the blues. He was incorporating Western swing music. He was incorporating straight up mountain music. All of this stuff coming together, and he didn't have barriers. He didn't have boundaries. He was just making records that he liked. And he had all sorts of wonderful backup musicians with him. Jimmy Rogers is not a household name, but it's definitely my goal to try to make that happen through the radio.
I remember my friend making me mixtapes too and sneaking them on there, and then I'd be like, Nancy would be listening to something like some whatever it is with him. It could be funk, it could be James Brown or Smithers or something, and then next thing you know, here comes Jimmy Rogers, and it would say, it's a Jimmy Rogers,
so cool.
And here it goes. And we'd listen up like, dude, this is so cool, because when you're traveling and you listen to that music, it doesn't matter, because it's so interesting how good music, like your music, right, can morph into, you think, oh yeah, you think the hills of Tennessee and, the Smoky Mountains, you have this vision. And then you play it in the middle of like the desert, like I'm talking barren desert times. And then you're like, yeah, I'm with you right now with this song. Like, thank you for this song because I need to keep driving. You know how it morphs? That's the coolest thing. Like, good music morphs into your daily life.
For sure, and it can set the scene for various places and people, and hopefully it when people hear good music, I think it really sets that time and space that they're in. I think it really concretes those moments.
I think it unlocks the creativity in people's psyche and their brain, and it's different for everybody. Somebody will listen to a song or drink a glass of wine or eat a piece of something and have a whole different take on it. The person sitting next to them will do the same thing and come out with a whole different experience. So cool. And that's what I think is so important about the arts and creativity. You don't have to like it all and you don't have to hate it all. You should just listen to it all, see it all, and let it gel. It's kind of like something, I remember things as a kid that I hated that I like now.
Like mushrooms.
Yeah. No, because it grows on you. Yeah, mushrooms.
Wine.
For me, it was Brussels sprouts.
No, I know, but it's true. We change, and our musical tastes change. I think when we're in high school and stuff, some of us geek out on certain things, like I did, and then later I was like, oh man, there's this whole other world, and it's about when we allow our mind, soul to open.
Barriers down.
Yeah, when we get out of our comfort zone.
It's all a path of discovery, and for me, what led me to early country music and early American roots music was I think a common way for some people. I listened to a whole lot of like rock and roll and garage rock, like 60s garage rock and roll, R&B, and dug into those folks who were recording that stuff and seeing who they were influenced by, then finding out about Hank Williams, finding out about Ernest Tubb, finding out about B.B. King, Howlin' Wolf, and then finding their influences, and it's a cycle, and then going back and back and back, and
you went in a rabbit hole.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
it's all connected. Tell me about. Because we started off the show with Finger Pointin' Mama. Like, seriously, we love that. We love all kinds of mamas around here. And so you guys wrote this. Are you writing it? How does the whole writing process happen?
Well, it just depends. I write all of our material, and
the words and music.
I tried. What's that?
The words and music. I'm just.
Yes.
What part are you writing? The words and the music. The whole thing?
From the songwriting. For the songwriting, I write all the material that we do, and it just depends. I try to write as much as I possibly can, and sometimes songs come out, sometimes they don't. You mentioned the idea of simplicity and plaintiveness, and that's something that I really focus on with my songwriting. And all my songs are about my life and about what I experienced. So, Finger Pointin' Mama is kind of a cheeky, sort of nasty tune about being frustrated, and I definitely have been frustrated before. And it's about a song about just being honest with yourself and being honest with others around you that you love.
I love it because you have a comedy sense to you too. You just have this. It's easygoing. We're gonna have fun with this. Some of it's like a little bluesy. Like, okay, we feel this. We know this feeling. so everybody can get into that zone of, yeah, we all know, we've been there, or maybe you're there now, you know.
Hey, your mama's sitting right here.
But wedding bell chimes. Tell us about that, because that's the second single is Finger Pointin' Mama, which is what we played. But the first single was Wedding Bell Chimes, and everyone go look at that. And then you're I mean, seriously, it takes me. It almost is like almost takes me back into like USO camp time. I don't know how to explain that, but
that's interesting.
Does that make sense at all?
We get a lot of comparisons of like golden age of radio with our music, and so that makes sense. You know, I think that has to do with the fact that some of our music is pretty lighthearted, and of course with the female with Kalia and Grace singing harmonies, it really adds to that.
Yeah, you have sass.
Yeah.
You have sass in it, for sure. You got to have the sass. And it's like, yeah, but it's not anything that anybody has to worry about. Like, parents can play it and kids can play it, and everyone's going to love it. All ages. This is music for everybody, and I love that. I love when everybody can enjoy something together.
Yeah, I hope it's all, you know, I want our music to be all inclusive, and I hope that it is. Wedding Bell Chimes is a particularly upbeat kind of love song, and you know, that was inspired by our friends who got married, and we went and played their wedding, and then I wrote that tune. And yeah, so that, I mean, simple enough. It's a song about falling in love and walking down the aisle.
Okay, well, let's play it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
We're going to play it. Everybody, here it is, Wedding Bell Chimes. Take a listen. And everybody, don't forget, go to the website, go to billandthebells.com. It's out now, the album Dream Songs, etc.
When wedding bells chime and you tell me you're mine, we'll walk hand in hand. Gee, life ain't grand knowing that you're all mine. I want the world to know that I love you so. It's just a matter of time till wedding bells ring as the birds softly sing a love song all the while as we skip down the aisle with a wink and a smile. If your love is true, well, don't you say I do. I've waited such a long while. I'm tired of only dreaming about that old time feeling I get every time that we kiss. With the ring upon your finger, our love will surely linger. Tell me, honey, where is that kiss? Just want one kiss. And wedding bells chime and you tell me you're mine. I want the world to know that I love you so, and I think it's about time. Tired of only dreaming about that old time feeling we get every time that we kiss. With a ring upon your finger, our love will surely linger. Now tell me, honey, where is that kiss? Just one little kiss. And wedding bells chime and you tell me you're mine. We'll walk hand in hand. See, life ain't grand knowing that you're all mine. And wedding bells chime.
Welcome to Big Blend Radio. You just heard, well, welcome. You've been here for a little bit, but you just heard Wedding Bell Chimes. And again, that is from Bill and the Bells. And we have lead singer and guitarist Kris Truelsen is sitting in with us to talk about his album. But we've got into all kinds of history of music. I feel like we should be in class. But can we do it in a brewery
I'm hoping
or something?
it's not too boring for you.
No. I think, Kris, this has been such a...
Classroom can be a troubling thing.
No, I know. I shouldn't say that. But we've learned so much. And that's the thing that I think is exciting when you hear music and you start to learn, where did it come from and who's doing it now and making it fresh and new, and that's what's so cool about your music. It's like, oh, man, and the vocals and just that. I love that you can just sit and listen to a song and enjoy it immediately.
Thank you.
Thanks. I think there's something big about that. You guys have been touring a whole bunch. It's nonstop. It is
nonstop. Yeah, as we're talking, I just got home. You might have just heard my dog barking in the background. She's mad at me, but yeah, she's great. She's a little hound dog, and her name's Ruby.
Cool.
But yeah, we just got back from DC, and we've been really hitting the pavement hard especially the last month or so. I think in the last week and a half, we've played about 7 states. By the end of this month, we'll have played in 13 states. So it's pretty intense. It's really good though, and we're really playing in front of some great audiences all over the place.
Awesome. I think it's awesome. I love it. I'm so glad we know about you. And everybody, BillAndTheBells.com. Go there. Go get the album Dream Songs, etc. I love the title of that.
I hope we can make it out west sometime. We have the furthest out west that we made it this summer was Rocky Grass in Colorado, and looks like we're going to be heading out to the West Coast in the winter. So we'll be up in Seattle and Portland, and hopefully Northern California as well.
Keep us posted because we travel going to national parks. That's our thing. We'll be in your area this fall because we have to do the Kentucky Bourbon Trail because somebody told us that we'd be good at it.
Oh, yeah.
Can't imagine.
Nice. Yeah, we're going to be going up through Natchitoches, Louisiana, going up the Natchez Trace Parkway. We're going to be going through Tennessee, then to Springfield, Kentucky, and then down, hopefully, through the Smoky Mountains. And then we'll go. I don't know what's going to happen to us, but we're traveling.
Well, then you know what you need to put on your agenda, on your itinerary. You should come to Farm and Fun Time, which is the live radio show that we host. Bill and the Bells host a great live radio show once a month. It's the second Thursday at the Birthplace Country Music Museum, and it's a kind of throwback country radio show where we write jingles for all of our sponsors. We have a bunch of great bands that come through, and we highlight local and regional farmers and Appalachian food culture and music. It's pretty cool.
I like it.
Okay, we'll come. We'll come out. Like that's really easy for us. I mean, it's like, yeah, why not? I mean, to me, I think that anything that celebrates its heritage, like you're saying, living history, I think that's important. And that's, with the younger generations, get on board. And I'm down. Okay, we'll be there.
Yeah,
we'll do it.
Then
we're going to
go
to Tennessee. We'll do it. There's no joking aside. We'll do it. Besides, we want to see other radios. We do radio, like we're internet radio. It's a whole different thing. And I think it's important that we have the type of radio that you're doing as well. It needs to stay there. It needs to stay there.
Definitely.
I mean, we depend on it. When we travel across the country, we look for the local radio station to get like the sense of place.
But do you have people playing there? That's the coolest thing to me.
Yeah.
Is musicians
playing
in a radio station. That's cool.
We do,
That's
and we have
awesome.
we're really, really fortunate in our facility in that we have our studio, which is a small sort of vintage studio, but we also have a performance theater, and so we have bands down there, and we do sessions that are free and open to the public, and some of our radio shows happen down in the theater as well. So we've got multiple facilities for use for performance.
Okay, I like this, and I just want people to know that so it's Jonesboro. I'm getting this. Everybody needs to go check this out in Bristol, and also those are the 2 other towns that we don't always hear on the map as much as Memphis and Nashville. Yeah. And so I'm just saying, maybe out here in the West, that's where we're a little ignorant on that. Or Johnson City. What is it? Johnson City or Jonesboro? What am I getting? I'm two different
Johnson
towns.
City is where our band lives, and that's one of the Tri-Cities. So it's Bristol, Johnson City, and Kingsport. Those are the Tri-Cities, which are in the easternmost corner of the state. Jonesboro is a small town outside of Johnson City. That's beautiful.
Oh, yeah, because you're going to be at the Brews and Tunes Festival there. I'm just saying, everybody, check that out in September.
And then Bristol Rhythm and Roots Reunion, which is a huge festival in September, third week of September, and it's one of my favorite festivals to play. We play it every year. 140 bands. It's all of downtown Bristol shuts down, and it's just amazing. But
Johnson City, Tennessee, you have an event there, Studio One, in October 6th. That's in your town.
That's a live radio broadcast.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot going on, and everyone, again, go to billandthebells.com. And for all our German friends out there, they're coming your way. We have a lot of international listeners, so I'm glad. So is it just Germany, or are you going to cross over
Germany
a border?
and the Netherlands, and then
good.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's for that. That's a 30-day, 30-day tour, and I think we'll also be in the UK in spring.
Oh, well then, yeah. You got to go see our friend Craig Avery at Channel Radio and go see him when you get to UK.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll set that up for you.
Stuff.
Yeah. He's cool. Okay, so are you ready to play Spontaneous? Spontaneous is the song game. It's an award-winning and best-selling board game on Amazon. Everyone go to songgame.com. They're sponsoring today's segment. Rob Ridgway's cool. He's in Nashville, so I'm going to send him your way now because he likes radio shows. I'm just saying.
Nice.
So I'm going to send him your way. Just saying, Rob.
That's
I know you can
perfect.
Hear. I know.
Yeah.
He's hanging out in Nashville. He's been traveling the country, and now he's settled down there. And I'm going to say, you need to branch out. But anyway, no, he's a cool guy. He created this board game, and it is just really easy. It's like someone throws out a word, and the next person has to come up with a song lyric, at least 5 words that include that word. It's very, very easy. He beat out Monopoly and everything last year.
I know. That's awesome.
It's just one of those amazing entrepreneurial stories. He's awesome. So songgame.com, everyone. But so we want to challenge you. Are you ready to play? Because I'm going to have the little ticker and everything.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to give Nancy a word so she can hear. You can hear what happens. And Nancy, I'm going to put you first.
Again.
I want everyone to have the example.
I'm always the experiment.
Okay. Let me give you. I don't even know what word to give anybody right now.
Exactly.
Okay. Your word is tree, because you're a tree hugger.
Okay.
10 seconds, you go.
I got it. I talk to the trees, but they don't listen to me. Clint Eastwood sang it in Paint Your Wagon.
Okay. Well, does that help you in your tree hugging mode?
I just love that song.
Okay, you won that. I didn't have to butt pan you out.
That was
Good,
awesome. I would have failed miserably on that one. Good job.
Really? Oh, yeah, because where else are you going to have trees in a song?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, and she always does this to me, but too bad. I shut you down, Lisa.
Okay. Well, I think I've got one. All right. Are you ready? Kris, it's your turn. Your word is Tennessee. 10 seconds.
Take me back to Tennessee. Take me back to Tennessee. Take me back to Tennessee. That's a song called Take Me Back to Tennessee.
You won. That's cool. That's a song. Tell me about the song.
That was a song from a fellow named Arthur Smith, who was on the Grand Ole Opry in the 30s.
Cool. See? I knew I could ask you that question.
Well done.
You did good. I didn't get to butt pan you. I want to butt pan somebody.
There where your mind goes blank because
no one's
ticker. It's the ticker.
I got
know.
nervous.
I
almost froze. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we have to have the ticker, otherwise we wouldn't sound like radio.
It's the tension.
The tension. Everybody has to have the tension and release. Everybody, again, thank you, Rob Ridgway of Spontaneous. He rocks. He's doing so much in Nashville, too. Go to songgame.com and also find him on Facebook on Spontaneous, the Song Game, and Twitter,
It's
Instagram.
a cool game.
Yeah,
really
and watch.
Really smart.
If you follow him on social media, watch him hang out with his dog Dottie, and Dottie rocks. Dottie is like she's a cool dog. She can do anything.
Yeah,
Dottie should be like a superhero.
Okay, sing a song with Dottie in it.
With Dottie?
You get to butt.
He wore an itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot Dottie bikini. Sorry, that's as close as I could get, as
You
fast
should
as I
butt
could.
pan
Okay,
yourself.
I'm going to butt pan myself, but no, we're going to play another song that is going to be very cool. We're going to play another song from Dream Songs, etc. Again, everybody out now, BillAndTheBells.com. Go there. That's the best place, right, for everything, your shows, everything, to connect on how to buy and do all that good stuff. So, what do you want to close with? I have Old Lonesome Blues and Moonlight Shadows
That
in You.
would
What
be a
would
great
you like?
one. That's representative of where we live, Johnson City. That's a song that we got from kind of an obscure band who was from Johnson City called the Bowman Sisters. They were from Gray, Tennessee, which is right outside of Johnson City, and that is one of the first songs that we worked up as a band. So we really wanted to include it on the record, and I think that's a perfect way to close.
You saying Old Lonesome Blues because I tossed out two names to you, so I want to make sure we're correct. Like
the Old Lonesome Blues, yes.
Okay,
cool.
good. Here it is, everybody.
What was the other
Thank
one?
you so much. The other one was Moonlight Shadows and You.
Well, I like that one too, but let's do the Old Lonesome
Well, I
Blues.
like the whole album.
We'll get
like,
the gals
but we
singing.
don't have I wish we could just sit here all day and it'd be fun. We could play the whole album, but we can't because life doesn't let us do what we want sometimes. So you tell me, Old Lonesome Blues or Moonlight Shadows and You? It's up to you because you're our guest.
I vote for Old Lonesome Blues. I like it.
Me too. I love
it's
that.
old and it's lonesome
awesome...
and it's blue.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about the blues today, so it makes sense. So here it is, everybody. Old Lonesome Blues. Thank you, listeners, for joining us here on Big Blend Radio. Don't forget, we air Sunday through Friday. You can listen as the shows go live or listen anytime. Just go to bigblendradio.com. And, we're available on all kinds of platforms from iTunes to Spotify to iHeartRadio. You can connect through there. So that's where you go, bigblendradio.com. But don't forget, go to BillAndTheBells.com. Their album is out today and now, so go get it and try and catch one of the shows because there's nothing like a live show. So go check it out.
No kidding.
Yeah. We're going to see you where we can. So take care,
Yes.
Chris. I was going to call you Bill
Thank
again.
you so much.
Here it is.
Appreciate you having me on.
Thanks for joining us. Here it is, Old Lonesome Blues. We all know about those.